Hello, Steve Mills here, and welcome to the Results Podcast. It's great to be back sharing some more ideas with you. Now, today, I've once again got a preview of my Raise Your Game CD program. Yes, I am that old and I've been doing it that long. In fact, I've been doing it long enough to have a cassette program. That's how long I've been helping small businesses to make thousands, hundreds of thousands, and even millions of pounds of extra unforeseen income. And today's podcast is basically you're going to listen to my CD number 5 that I developed in a series of 12 different CDs that I used to sell. I don't sell this anymore, but do you know what? There's such good information in there. I think it's such a shame that it should literally die and nobody ever see it again. I used to sell this. I used to sell it for, I think it was about £120 for the 12 CDs, so about £10 each, which is an absolute bargain. It also features a really good friend of mine, a guy called Peter Thompson. Peter's very well known in the consulting and training market and a real expert in what he does. So without further ado, let's have a listen. And I hope you enjoy it, but more than that, I hope you use some of the ideas that it contains. So hopefully it'll start any second now. He's hoping. Yep, there we go. My name is Steve Mills, and I'd like to welcome you once again to the Raise Your Game program. I'm here to share with you some tried, tested and proven ideas to massively grow your business. I don't have all the answers, but I do have 28 years experience. I've got some great ideas and some great questions to share. As usual, it's all about taking action. So my first question for you is, what did you do as a result of last month? Because if you didn't do anything, then that is harming your business. I know that I gave you some real valuable content, some ideas and concepts and tools that would massively impact your business, but only if you use them. So please make sure that you go back over last month's session and make sure you start to implement some of the ideas. What I don't want you to do is to fail to implement, because it's all about taking action. It's about learning new ideas. It's about using those ideas to massively grow your business. I'd like to start this month by talking to you about improvements, a system I call CANI, which stands for Constant and Never-Ending Improvement. What do you need to constantly and never-endingly improve? And in my opinion, this is everything within your business. Certainly everything within your marketing side of your business, your website, your emails, your referral strategies, everything that you do can be improved. So I want you to think this month about focusing on everything in your business, not being satisfied with where you are and looking to improve it. You might want to improve it by 5%, by 10%. There may be specific areas that you can get a 50% improvement without really any time, money or effort. I don't know, you look at putting together a new headline for the advertising campaign that you're doing, and that headline increases response by 20, 30, 40, 200%, who knows? The point is, look to constantly and never-endingly improve. One gentleman that did this for many, many years is someone from my sporting background. I always, like many people, had a sporting hero. My hero comes from the sport of tennis. A gentleman who became number 1 in the world. He stayed there longer than anybody, any male player anyway, in history. He also won 10 Grand Slam titles. His name was Ivan Lendl. He was a player known in the UK pretty much as the guy that never won Wimbledon, but he did win lots and lots of other tournaments. And I was really lucky to meet Ivan one day, and I actually had dinner with him. And I said to him, what's the difference between yourself, Ivan, and the rest of the players? What was it, your forehand? Was it the serve? Was it the training, the coaching? Was it talent? What was it about? What was the difference that made you really stand out from the other players around at your time? And those of you who remember Lendl will remember he's a pretty sort of stern guy, a very serious guy. And he looked at me very firmly in the eyes and he said, no. It's none of those things. He said, the reason I became the best in the world and stayed there longer than anybody ever had comes down to one thing. And that one thing is that every day since I was 8 years old, I've done far more than anybody else could possibly expect. He said, I don't compete with other players. I compete with the best I could possibly become. And I thought, wow, what a great thing to do. What a great thing to think about in terms of my business and my client's business. If we could push ourselves to that level to grow our business, to not be content with the number of inquiries that are coming in from our website, to not be content with a percentage of inquiries that we turn into leads, to not be content with the amount of money that we get from our current clients, if we constantly looking to never-endingly grow, what would that mean to our business? And I've always thought to myself, nothing's perfect. I was actually listening to an audio program the other day by a guy called Brian Tracy. If you've not listened to Brian, I'm sure if you type him into Google, and developed and improved and grown and are now doing fantastic things. And he spoke to many, many businesses that have achieved that. And he said in this audio program I was listening to that one of the main characteristics that successful businesses have done to achieve greatness is that they've got serious. They all said that, the difference happened, the change came when we decided to really get serious about our marketing. Because if you think about it, the purpose of a business, it's only one thing, it's to make a profit. That's what we're in business for, it's to make a profit. And really there are two ways of doing that. One is to reduce costs, and two is to get more sales. That's a whole ball of wax. That's what it's about. Now, the great news about reducing costs is you can do that instantly. You can cut your spending by 5%, 10%, 20%. Well, most businesses can do that without too much of a problem. The downside is there's only so much that you can do in terms of cutting costs. You can stop spending everything, don't spend any money, but that's still limited. And obviously in reality, you can't not spend any money. So, you can only do so much. So the real leverage, the real incremental leverage is to grow. So I'm here to encourage you, to cajole you, to persuade you to get really serious about this thing called sales and marketing, called your profit. I'm here to tell you and to talk to you about how you can grow your business. And the first thing you need to do is to upgrade the amount of time, money and effort. Somebody said to me the other day, how do I get more sales from telemarketing, Steve? And I said, that's really easy. Make more calls. End of story. Now, that was slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I'm sure you get my point. The more effort, the more time, the more money you put into it, the better. If you make 100 sales calls in a week, and that produces 4 leads and 2 sales, if you make 200 calls, then presumably, give or take, you're going to get 8 leads and 4 sales. So it's not rocket science, this. It's about taking action. It's about taking action to improve things. It's also about then trying to improve those marketing numbers. Instead of it being 4 leads for 100 calls, because you become better at that really key area of business, all of a sudden we're up to 6 or 8. What have we just done? We've just doubled the size of our business from that particular stream of income. So, think about that, because that's a really serious point. What could you do to grow? What could you do to constantly and never-endingly improve? I'd like to now talk about pricing, and I've done that before on the program. But I'd like you to think about, charging for what you know or charging for what you've done. And there's a great story that I heard many, many years ago, and it's a story about FedEx. Now, you may or may not know, but in FedEx, everything comes in and out of Memphis. All the parcels, all the letters, etc., they come into Memphis, Tennessee, and they go out on trains and planes right across America. Anyway, one day, the whole of their operation ground to an halt. Nothing was working, all the conveyor belts, everything had stopped. Now, this is costing FedEx an absolute fortune. There were planes being delayed, shipments, all sorts of things, all sorts of problems. And the operations director quickly called their main engineer. The main engineer rushed into the operations centre, this massive, enormous warehouse, and without looking too far around, he realised, he identified the problem. He went straight over to a junction box, opened it up, turned a screw half a turn, and the whole place came alight. The operations director was over the moon. He said, "That's fantastic, I can't thank you enough. Send in your invoice, I'll be glad to pay it." And the chief engineer said, "That's not a problem, I can invoice you now." He said, "Great, I'll get it paid as soon as possible." So he wrote an invoice for $1,000. And the operations director said, "Well, what's this?" He said, $1,000? It only took you 30 seconds. How about giving me an itemised bill on that? He said, "No problem." So he rewrote the invoice, and on it he wrote, "Turning screw, $1. Knowing which screw to turn, $999. So think about that from your background, from your experience. Are you really charging for what you're doing now or what you've done in the past? An interesting concept. I'd like to now introduce a gentleman who's, over the last year or two, has been a good friend of mine. He's a gentleman by the name of Peter Thompson. Many of you will have heard of Peter, and you've probably certainly heard of me talking about Peter. Peter is one of the UK's leading business growth strategists. He's someone I really respect, and he's someone who I have learnt a heck of a lot from over the last 10 years. And Peter, a little while ago, produced what I think is a fantastic program. It's a program that is all about lead generation. It's called the Ultimate Business Growth System. And the program's absolutely brilliant. And I've actually asked Peter for permission to bring you a small section of it. So we're now going to spend a few minutes listening to Peter Thompson, my friend and business growth specialist.
Good afternoon. Delighted to be with you this afternoon and have the opportunity to share with you some tried and tested and proven ideas for how we can get more leads, because that's going to be our focus for the afternoon, isn't it? Lead generation. But the real one I want to go into real depth with is the one that I use today, that I started using 16 years ago. Dan mentioned I'd sold my business, that we sold it in 89, having started in 84. And then I had a couple of years faffing about, spending money and being stupid, as you do. And Sharon, my wife, who's here with me, she's great at spending money. I mean, she's just awesome at doing that sort of thing. In fact, there's a lovely thing that Deepak Chopra used to say. He used to say that if you'd got money, you had to spend it, because what you did was create a vacuum for it to come back into. So if I was away doing something, I'd phone Sharon and say, "What have you been doing?" She'd say, "I've been vacuuming." And you understood what she meant by that. So when I first started in this business, which was in 1991, I went into this type of business, training, consulting, coaching. I'm not a coach because I'm too bolshy to be a coach. I'm far too prescriptive. Because when I'm with a client, I say, "Do it like this. Don't change it, because this works." Right? That's the way I am with people, right? So I bump straight in there. So the way I started was, I wanted to get some clients to do some sales training, because I'd been training my salespeople all the time in my own businesses. And I thought, I've got to get to people. How can I get to people? Because I didn't have any clients. Now, you can go down the family and friends route, and there's a great way to do that, especially with your first seminar. That's a great way to do it. And I started to approach some companies by phone, and I found that some of them just didn't have the budget or enough salespeople in the business for me to go in and do the training. So actually, a little point for you here, what I said to them was, if I did an open seminar, would you send your 3 people along? If it was a reasonable price. And people went, well, yeah, I might well do. I said, well, can I put you down that provisionally? And I put them down for it. Then as I was making more sales calls and speak to people, if they only had 2 people, I said, well, if it's not reasonable for me to come in, why don't you send your 2 people to this open seminar I'm planning? And the way I built the first open paid seminar was in 2s and 3s like that. So that might be a little idea that you can use. Yeah? But the main idea I used in order to get my business was I created an informational product. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. In those days, it was a cassette. These days, it could be a CD, or it could be a PDF, or it could be a physical report. So it could easily be a download. Right? We do a lot of downloads. In fact, if Zach's online, I'm going to show you, not yet, I'll show you the actual website we use and exactly how it works. And exactly, I'm going to go through it nuts and bolts. So by the time you walk out of it, by the way, who has a product, a book, an audio, whatever? Only a couple. What do you have?
A book.
What's it called?
It's called Grow Your Own Network.
Grow Your Own Network. Is there a subtitle to it?
No.
Okay. Might be next publication one. Yeah. Because Grow Your Own Network, for some people, might think it's computers. Is it computers?
No.
I didn't think it was. But it could be, couldn't it? So it might need a really good subline, yeah? Because titles, and we're going to talk a lot about titles of products, and by product I mean a book, a CD, a PDF, whatever it might be, you can turn it into anything, need great titles. It's titles that sell things, it's titles that attract people. What's yours?
I've got 2 books.
Yeah, lovely.
One's called The Essence of Womanhood, Reawakening Your Authentic Feminine.
I like it, I like that one, don't you? Says what it does on the tin.
And the other's called The Woman's Secret to Self-Esteem.
Very nice too. Right, good titles. Good luck with those. Good luck indeed. Send me a signed copy, please. I'll be delighted. If you don't ask, people can't say yes. Isn't that true of life? Yeah. If you don't ask, people can't say yes. I remember a famous presenter, and he was talking about the idea. He was in Japan, and he was doing a seminar, and it was being translated, and it was all about selling and closing sales. And he turned around to this audience, which was about 2,000 people, and said to them the equivalent of, in monetary terms, I want you to put £10 in an envelope with your business card. Please do that now. Right? Now, it wasn't probably £10 because they weren't using pounds, so many yen, whatever it was. Anyway, put them in the envelopes. And he got everybody to do it. He said, right, now hand them all to the centre aisle. And he had people with buckets come down the middle. He said, put them in the buckets. Put them in the buckets. They collected them all up and they brought them on the stage. This is 2,000 people at about £10 a piece. That is £20,000, isn't it? And this is a few years ago. He tipped them all out and he turned around to the audience. He said, thank you. He had the money. Right? He said, now, if anybody's upset about that and they don't think they've learned £10 worth of value, in other words, you've got to ask for what you want in life, I'll happily donate it to charity. Yeah? You just come and tell our people, we will deal with it, we'll take your part out and donate it. The rest of it, I'm keeping because I asked. Fair comment, isn't it? Fair comment. So titles, going back to titles, are very, very important when we come to create our product. If you think of some of the fabulous titles that have been out there, I'll tell you my first one. Why Men Don't Listen and Women Can't Read Maps. What a great title. Barbara and Alan Peace, friends of ours, brilliant, brilliant title. That series that they've done have sold over 7 million copies. Not bad at all. But people wouldn't have bought that if it had said the difference between men and women. Everybody would have gone, wouldn't they? Yeah. Why Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. Another catchy title. What are some of the titles that have sparked you, that you've seen in the marketplace and you've bought the book and thought, oh, that's a good title? Yeah?
I think Think and Grow Rich is a good one.
Think and Grow Rich, and there's variations on that now, isn't there? Sort of Get Out of Debt and Grow Rich, and Sell and Grow Rich. I've seen all sorts from the original Think and Grow Rich.
Unleash the Power Within.
Unleash the Power Within.
All the rules books was right. Rules of management, rules of management.
Yeah, and they're creating a brand based on that, aren't they, as well? Yeah, which is fun. Any others?
I like the DeMartini one. It's how to make a hell of a profit and still get to heaven.
Big, yeah. Yeah, Sharon's has a book coming out, which is How to Be a Complete Bitch and Have Everybody Still Love You. Right? Now, you've got to, if you're a woman, you've got to be going, I've got to have a look at that one, haven't you? One of the great books that worked off a title, which was a very clever idea, was a book that was launched in the States by a woman, and it was What Men Know About Women. Right? Have you heard of this? A coffee table book, and all the pages were blank. There was no writing in it at all. Right? That's so clever. But people bought it as presents for people. And of course, you'd have it on your coffee table or on your desk and say to people, have you seen this? I mean, sometimes you can make a fortune and write nothing. Yeah. What other titles have we had? There have been really good titles, yes. Love that. Yeah, Susan Jeffers, fabulous book as well. Yeah, great one. They're all good titles, aren't they? So we've got to think what is going to be the title of your informational product, because I'm going to be talking about this informational product. The first one I developed was called Once Upon a Time There Were Two Frogs. Now, I personally think that's a great title, particularly if you're getting sent this or you're being asked if you might like it. And so what I did was this. I rented a mailing list. In those days, you could rent 2,000 names. Today, it's probably 5,000 names you have to rent. Yeah? But here's the thing. You don't have to use all 5,000. Just because you rent them doesn't mean you have to mail them. And people think, oh, I've got 5,000 on the list, I've got to mail them. Of course you don't. You can mail 500. It's going to be more expensive, but so what? So I rented a mailing list of 2,000 and I split it, because you must always do a test, mustn't you? Whenever you do any marketing, you've got to do a test. And I split it in half. And I mailed a simple one-page letter to people that said, this is who I am, and I've got some unusual views about sales training, which I think you'll be interested in. My copywriting skills are better today than they were then, but it still worked. And if you like, you can have this free cassette, because nobody was doing that in those days, this free cassette called Once Upon a Time There Were Two Frogs, which will give you all my views on sales training and why it doesn't work, and this fantastic story about the two frogs, which I know you want to hear. Now, do you know the concept of SALT? Yeah, SALT. There's a famous presenter in the States called Stephen K. Scott. He wrote all the infomercial stuff, the really good infomercials. And I was listening to one of his programs, because I'm an audio junkie. And he said, most people say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. He said, I can. I can make it drink every time, as long as I put enough salt in the oats. That's salt. So salt, if you put enough salt in the oats, and salt is curiosity, you can get people to take action. So when it says in a letter you're going to hear this best motivational story you ever heard, called Once Upon a Time There Were Two Frogs, but they don't tell you what it is, you're keen to know, aren't you? You've been salted. Your curiosity has been piqued. Especially when you say to somebody as well, I've got some thoughts on training and why it doesn't work. And I hope you're not making those same mistakes. You think, oh, I better find out about that then, if you're in the marketplace. So I sent out 1,000 letters saying to people they could have this free cassette if they phoned me up and asked for it. There was no reply mechanism. There was no reply paid card, because I was, listen carefully to this bit, I was trying to diminish response. Why was I trying to diminish response?
Because you didn't want to have people who wouldn't be committed later, who just wanted something for nothing.
I wanted people who were really keen. I didn't want hordes of people who just wanted something free. So I made it difficult to get it. Now these days we changed that, because we've got a different process, which I'm going to show you through in full detail this afternoon. So I diminished response by making them phone me to get it. 3.6% response we've got. That's 36 people, which is pretty good. 36 people off 1,000 mail shots inquiring for the cassette. So they've put their hands up in the marketplace and they've told me a number of things about themselves, haven't they? One, they're interested in training. Two, they're interested in sales training. Certainly they respond to my style of writing, and they're curious. Now, that's a qualified lead. You know, that only needs a couple of stages more, and that's a really good lead. And a couple of stages more, and that's a client. The other test I did head-to-head was, I sent out the cassette with the letter. Slightly different letter, but I actually sent the cassette. So I had to make 1,000 cassettes, have them duplicated, which obviously cost me a lot more money. The response on that was 1.1% response. You know why? Because people don't listen to stuff. They get it, it's free, it's got no value. Even though you put a price on it, it's got no value, so only a few will listen. However, the amount of business I got out of both tests was nigh on the same. Because by the time I'd taken the 3.6 and converted them, it probably came to a net 1%. And by the time I took the 1.1% and converted them, that came to about 1%. And then, of course, with a systemised referral process, please write those words down, with a systemised referral process, not an ad hoc referral process, yeah, And we're going to talk about that later on. Systemised, you can spell it with a Z or an S, I don't mind. Systemised referral process. Boy, can we start a stream, a torrent, if you will, of qualified leads. And that's what we're looking for, aren't we? We don't want to go round banging on doors. I've done it. In my early days, I've been in business now, in fact, on the 2nd of February 2008, it will be 36 years, because we started the business 2272, our first business, and the next one 2284. So you don't want to be going around banging on doors if you can avoid it. Phoning people up, are you interested in this? You want to get people to put their hand up in the marketplace and say, yes, I'm interested in that. Tell me a bit more. Agreed?
Yeah.
Because isn't that an easy follow-up call? Yeah. I'm actually going to show you the exact follow-up call we do as well, because there's one little question you mustn't ask. I'll tell you later what it is. And that's salt, isn't it? That's salt. But Rachel, who's with me, who's my PA as well, there's Rachel, wave to Rachel at the back. All right? Rachel and I worked with Sharon, and we all worked together for on and off, 21 years. You must have been 6, Rach. Okay. 21 years. And Rachel's done some of these calls. She doesn't do them now, I do them occasionally, because we have a young lady who does. And she's there on the phone today, making phone calls, making appointments, which is the next point in our process, which I'm going to share with you. Right? But there is a question you have to ask it exactly the right way around. So you see where we're going with this process already. Right? We need to start with an informational product that we can offer in the marketplace, and I'll show you exactly how to offer it. I've brought with me the email that we use, and I'll read you to it, and I'll explain what's going on in the email, including the transitions, the bucket brigade, the blind bullets, and everything that's happening. Yeah, so you can understand how that, so you can copy the idea. You know, copy my words, but copy the idea of it. So we can do an email campaign with it. You can use exactly the same copy for a website. You could use it for a piece of direct mail. You could use it as a handout, as a seminar. You can post it through people's letterboxes. You can do anything with it, because the copy works. I took that piece of copy, I rewrote it into somebody else's voice. We've so far had, true figure, 1,890 leads worldwide. We don't know what to do with them. I mean, we've got too many. I mean, I'm going like, this is why I haven't got any of this left. I'm going, whoa, what do we do? This is such a powerful system to just get the leads you want. Seriously, you could slash any other budget. If you just did this effectively and had a systemised referral process, both of which are nigh on free, these two, you don't need anything else. You don't need to advertise. You might not need pay-per-click. You can test it against it, but, you know, this stuff works like billio. This, right? And people have to come to me, because I don't go anywhere. They have to come to me. Right? And they come for 3 hours, and they pay £3,000, which we think is a bit low at the moment. We're going to be doing some more testing. And I sit with them, and we give them some sandwiches. We have a nice lunch, and I tell them how to build a business. And they go. And I say to them, I'm not following you up. I'm not your coach. I'm not following you up saying, have you done it? And where's your do list? Because that's not my job. Right? You've paid your money, up to you. If you want to use it, use it. If you don't, I don't mind. It's your choice. Right? Then, of course, we want them to buy another lunch. But we're testing the price on that at the moment to see where it might stand in the market. We think it might get to £5,000 or £6,000, something like that, because they get massive value. I mean, one client came, spent 2.5 hours, and I said, I think we should stop now. And he said, why? I said, because I think you should stop the business. I said, I think the business is a waste of time. I think you're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. Go back to your main business and stop doing this. And he went, I've been waiting for someone to tell me. Yeah. Because it was obvious. I mean, you know, it was just obvious. It was one of those things. So you see where we're going with this. This gets you the right clients. It positions you in the marketplace, doesn't it? Because you are, apart from 2 people already here, you are an author. And when you are an author, your fees go through the roof. That's just the way of the world, isn't it?
So that was that from Peter Thompson. If you want to know more about Peter, you can contact him at peterthompson.com. There's loads of audio programs that he's produced, and certainly well worth checking out. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about, give you some thoughts about websites. You know, using your website to market your business, because this is an area that I think, you know, there's not one in maybe 1 in 50 websites really work. And this month I'd like to talk to you about using your website to collect names. This is just one part of the overall marketing mix on a website. There's obviously search engine optimization and all the other things you do. But here we're talking about once we've got somebody to a website, how can we maximize them? We've got them to your website. What can we do about it? And one of the keys, I believe, is using your website to collect the names of people who've been there. You know, we've got a client who maybe gets 30,000 people to their website and they get X amount of enquiries, but out of those 30,000, they've no clue who's actually been there. So wouldn't it be great if as well as the, 50 enquiries that they get, they also get 200 people signed up to, let's say, for example, an ebook or a newsletter or a free program. So my question for you is, what are you currently doing to secure the names of people who come to your website? So give you some ideas of the types of things you might want to do. You might want a box on there in a prominent position that says something like, sign up now for a free report on, the 10 biggest mistakes that people make in XYZ. Or you might want a newsletter. You might have a box or something with a newsletter that people can download. Or what about a CD, a free CD regarding what you do? Or a report into the 10 biggest problems that businesses have with XYZ. If you're you run a carpet cleaning business and you have a free report about 10 steps to make sure that your newly clean carpets stay clean, or 15 things that you can do to achieve XYZ. I'm sure you get the idea. So you've got this box, this sign-up form where people are going to give you their name, their telephone number, their email address, and any other information that you may require. In exchange for that, they're going to get something of value. This is a win-win situation. You get their details, they get the information. And to be honest, probably a lot of you have got something like that on your site, but you're not really using it. You're not maybe sending out emails encouraging people to sign up for these things. You're maybe not got it as in a prominent position. I looked at a website the other day of a potential client, and they had this, but it was sort of down the bottom of their homepage. It was only on their homepage, and it was what's known as below the fold. For those of you who are not quite sure what that means, it means below the level of the screen. So in other words, when I open a website up, I've actually got to scroll down on it in order to uncover it on that particular page. So it certainly needs to be above the fold and in a prominent position. And, a decent sized box as well that's bright, something that really gets people focused. The next step is, once they've signed up, what are we going to actually do? What are we going to do with this name, telephone number, email address? Well, the answer to that is obviously we're going to market to it. We're going to follow it up because they've expressed an interest in a particular report, book, CD, or whatever it is you've given them. So they're interested in it. Presumably, they wouldn't have given their details away if they weren't interested. So you're going to follow up. And obviously, we now then need to think about, what are we going to say when we follow up? Now, the biggest mistake that most people make is they will call and they will say something like, "Hi, my name's Steve Mills, calling from Max Marketing, and you recently downloaded a ebook, and I'm just calling to find out if you've had a chance to read it or not." Big mistake. What you need to do is something slightly different, and I'll just like to explain why. If you do that, 99% of people are going to say, no, I've not read it yet. No, I'm sorry, I did download it, but I've been busy. And so you get what I call a big no. Right? You want to start this conversation off on a positive note. So how we would do this, I would say something like, "Hi, Steve Mills here from Max Marketing. You very kindly downloaded my ebook all about how to win more business from referral. And I just thought I'd give you a call to make sure it downloaded correctly." And hopefully they're going to say, "Yeah, no problem." Say, "Oh, great." And you've just got your first yes. You then say, and note the words here, you then say, "I don't suppose you've had a chance to read it yet." Now, they're going to say one of two things to that. Well, no, I haven't. Now, you just got a soft no there. Or they're going to say, well, yeah, actually, I have. You say, oh, fantastic, well done. That certainly puts you in the top 10% because most people have good intentions and don't actually get round to doing it. So well done for that. So immediately I've built rapport. They think, I think they're great. They think I'm, a really nice guy for complimenting them on what they do. So I'd then say, tell me, what did you think to it? Or I may ask them some question. I say, point 3 on the report. What did you think to that? Is that a problem with your business? If they haven't read it, if they've, said, well, no, actually, I haven't. You say, well, that's not a problem. I appreciate you're busy. Let me just tell you a few minutes about what it's about. It was about, how to win more business from referral. And one of the issues is being proactive with it. Do you have any proactive strategies within your business to win business from referral? And they say, well, no, not really, no. So, okay, well, why don't I do this? Why don't I arrange for a 30-minute meeting that we could have over the phone or in our office, and we can talk to you about how to win more business from referral. Would that be useful? They say, oh, yeah, that would be fantastic. So what have I just done there? I've taken a situation where someone's come to my website and I've no clue who they are. They're now signed up for something. I've then given them something free, therefore inducing the law of reciprocation. I've then followed up, I've built some rapport, and hopefully I've managed to turn that into an initial 30-minute meeting where I get a chance to develop that relationship. So that, I think, is a really powerful thing to do. Look at ways in which you can get people signed up on your website so you can secure more and more and more of the names of people visiting your site. The next thing I'd like to talk to you about is, again, something I'm really passionate about. And it's why I put this program together, and that is training yourself. I was at an event on Monday. I actually spoke at the Newbury Racecourse. A big conference was being held called the Keep Business Local exhibition. And I had about 35 people in the room with me, and it really sunk into me, how small businesses in particular neglect this key area. So I said to them, tell me, who here is responsible for sales in their business? And 35 out of 35 people put their hands up. I said, okay, great. Tell me, who in the last 12 months has undergone any sales training at all? Do you know how many people put their hands up? Not one. Right, so we've got 35 people who are responsible for selling and nobody's done any training in it. Now that to me is worrying. It's worrying for those people. And if you're in the same position, you need to get trained. You need to improve yourself because your current knowledge is probably not good enough for where you want to go. We need to look at how you can raise your game. That's what this program's called. That's what this program's all about. Now, okay, it's great. I'm providing you some training here, but, this is just a few minutes. You need to, take it to the next level, constant and never-endingly improving. So think about that as a concept. How much training have you done and how much training could you do? I'll look at it this way, If I had to go to a doctor, or maybe a surgeon, let's put it that way. If I had to go to a surgeon, because I needed an operation, and I said to the surgeon, tell me, how much training have you done over the last couple of years? And the surgeon said, well, to be honest, I've not done any training. I went to medical school 15 years ago and, and that's it really. I'm, fully trained. Would you be slightly worried about that? I'm sure you would. So the point is, if you're going to a professional person who's delivering a professional service, you would expect that person to be trained. And if you went to an accountant and that accountant said, or you said to that accountant, I'm interested, tell me, how much training do you do in tax advice? They said, well, 15 years ago I went on a course. I haven't really done anything to update my skills and knowledge in tax since then. Would that be the best accountant? Would that give you much confidence? Or would you prefer an accountant who said, yeah, I train here, I do that, I do that, I do that, and this is my IPD, and da-da-da-da-da. So, you need to train yourself in sales. You need to become better at it, you become more effective. And you need to do that constantly and never-endingly. Leading on from that, what about your system? What is your sales system? An inquiry comes into your business. what happens then? What happens next? What happens after that? What happens after that? How many times do you keep in touch? I think one of the biggest mistakes that businesses make is that they drop the ball. They don't keep on keeping on. Don't let those inquiries die. Keep following up until they die or buy. One or the other. I will keep following up on somebody until they tell me to go away. Tell me that they're not interested, they've bought somebody else, they've changed their minds, they're not interested in my service. If they don't say that, I'm going to keep following up. And yet, statistics prove that most small businesses will make 1 follow-up, 2 follow-ups, and that's probably it. Okay, so, this is, again, a real key area. Whatever your conversion rates are at the moment, I almost guarantee you, if you improve your follow-up systems, you will increase and improve your conversion rates. If you could get yours up from 60% to 65 to 70, would make a massive difference to your turnover and, more importantly, your profit. The next thing I'd like you to think about is motivation. I noticed on the TV and in advertising and things at the moment, there's a new film out, the Dickens Disney film. I'm sure you've heard about that, and it's a really good film, I believe. And if you think about Dickens and what that was all about, the Dickens principle, really, it's all about 3 ghosts, isn't it? And those 3 ghosts turn up one day to try to motivate someone. And they're trying to motivate someone who's got no buying signals whatsoever. He's not interested in this idea of giving. He believes that to be happy, you have to have as much money as you can, you have to be mean with other people, and he doesn't want to buy at all. So what do the ghosts do? They take him into the past and show him what he's lost as a result of the way he's been over the last 10 years. They then bring him into the present and they show him what he's currently losing, what he's losing out on, what he's not getting, all the love, the kindness, the friendships, all those things. They then take him into the future in 5 years and 10 years and make him realise how sad and depressed and unhappy and all the things he'll have missed out on over the last 10 years. The reason I mention that is, and I've mentioned this I know before on the Raise Your Game programme, is that motivating someone in your marketing and in your sales is all about away from and towards motivation. One of the biggest mistakes people make in marketing is they use totally towards motivation. They talk only about the benefits. You need to stir people up. You need to tell them that if you don't buy what we are selling, it's going to cause you problems. It's going to, you're going to waste time. You're going to be in a difficult situation. You're not going to get the benefits. You're not going to get the result. These are all the things that are going to happen if you don't buy my service. If you do buy my service, however, these are all the wonderful things that are going to happen. Now, obviously, I'm expecting you to do this with integrity. I certainly would. I wouldn't be trying to motivate somebody to buy my services unless I thought it was right for them. So, please act with integrity with this, because this is a really powerful tool. So at the moment, you may be only using half your motivation. You're talking about benefits and all the wonderful things that you can do. The fact is that we as human beings will do more to avoid a problem than we will to gain a benefit. So, think about that with everything that you do. The next thing I want to talk about is how important is your marketing to other people? I've said, how far does the needle go on your who gives a crap meter? And I apologise slightly for the language, but I'm sure you get my point. In a sales letter, ask yourself, who cares? Does this really make my customer take action? On your website, when I get to your homepage, what is the purpose of your homepage? Does it really get people to take action? Have a read through your homepage. Is it as effective as possible? Is it talking about the benefits? Is it talking about the problems? Has it got a call to action? What does that website want me to do? it must do something. Who cares? Ask yourself, who cares? You write a sentence that you're going to put in an advert and just think, who cares? Does this make a difference? And if it doesn't, but it did, because you improved it, it could make a massive difference to your business. If you think about the whole concept of writing copy, I believe it's one of the biggest underrated parts of marketing. Now, a lot of people will do things like, let me think, they'll design a website and they'll get somebody, a professional website designer, to design this really nice looking website. It's state of the art, it's absolutely great. And they'll spend 10 grand on getting the website designed. And then they'll write the copy themselves. And they've not got any experience in writing copy, and they certainly don't know anything about keyword density, which is important from a search engine point of view. And so they go ahead and write their own copy, page after page after page, and it's boring. You need to be really good at copywriting. When was the last time you went on a copywriting course? Or should you be getting somebody in who can write really, really good copy? Either way, either improve yourself or find somebody who's good. It's entirely, obviously, up to you. The next thing I'd like you to think about is your database. This really important thing. Your database of customers, the number of contacts, the people you speak to. What are you doing and what are you going to do over the next month, 2 months, 3 months to try to build that database? You can certainly do it. I mentioned earlier about the sign-up form on your website. That's a great tool for building your database without too much effort. So, think about what the 3, 4, 5 different things you're going to do to build that database. I'd like to finish today's Raise Your Game program by getting you, I suppose, stepping back a little bit and thinking about what's in it for me. What are your goals? Okay, this is an area that I believe a lot of people don't spend enough time on. And I'm going to give you a little assignment, and it's something for you to do, maybe for your business, but also for yourself. And what I want you to do is I want you to write down 101 goals. Now, I did this a few months ago, and it's quite a challenge. You get through 30s, 40s, and you're thinking, right, what else is there? 50, 60, 70, 80, and you're thinking, I can't find anything else. And the reason I want you to write down 101, because I want you to think about everything that you want in life and in business. So, not 100, 101. I want you to really try and push yourself maybe beyond your comfort zone. Think about big things, think about little things, think about goals for your business. It could be long-term goals. In 10 years, I want to sell my business for £15 million. Or it could be that my goal for next month is to win X amount of new sales. So, the whole variety of goals. Think about your personal goals, your family goals, your business goals, your relationship goals, your health goals. So if you've not got good health, it doesn't matter how much money you earn. That's probably the biggest thing in life. So, think about that. One of the things I did, which really helps me actually, because I read my goals every month. And I don't know about you, but I've heard about goal setting is really important, and you set goals and you have a list of goals. I actually changed the name. Instead of calling it goals, I have a list of promises. The promises that Steve Mills makes to himself that I will achieve. And that to me was a much more powerful word. Instead of calling it a goal, I called it a promise. I promise, Steve Mills, promise that I'm going to achieve this, and I'm going to achieve that, and I'm going to do the other. So that's just about it for this month's Raise Your Game program. I hope you took something from it. I'm sure you did. I really, really hope you implement the ideas. That's what it's all about. I hope I've motivated you. I hope I've driven you to take action to massively grow your business. Thanks ever so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you again on next month's Raise Your Game program. Steve Mills saying goodbye and good luck. Thank you. Okay, so thank you ever so much for listening to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the Raise Your Game program. We'll have another one at some point soon, but as ever, keep following me, keep up to date with stuff. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, then please do that. Follow me on YouTube, and by all means ask me to connect on LinkedIn. I'd be very happy to do so. Lastly, if you want to come along to one of my sales and marketing webinars, then just go to stevemills.co and you'll find details. There's a big orange button, just click that and tells you all about the webinars that I'm running. Again, full of great tips, totally free to attend. And I'm sure you get immense value from that. So thanks very much. Until we speak again on the Results Podcast, I wish you every success in your business and stay safe. Thank you.